Hello, everybody, and I hope you're having a beautiful, magical Monday. This is Michelle, and this is Michelle's Magical Monday, and I am coming to you live from beautiful Orlando, Florida, and I wanted to talk to you today about a few things, and the first one is, well, a term I'm calling spiritual depression that seems to be coming around for a lot of people right now. I'll give a few people some time to come on live. But this concept that I call spiritual depression is that even spiritual people who are having a really fantastic life have spiritual dips. And I've heard a lot of really powerful healers and people who are really positive people going through a little bit of lack of faith in the last couple of weeks. And I just want to kind of tune into that, and I call it spiritual depression because a lot of times healers and magical people of all kinds have these lows, and what they don't realize is that they're still higher than their past highs. So their lows are still better than when they were in the past. They had these highs that were not even as good as where they are now in their low, because they've raised their vibration, their frequency. And you can't just crazy high energy all the time. Sometimes we have to take a pause, a pregnant pause, and reevaluate. And a lot of times when things aren't going exactly right in the universe, it's a time to reevaluate, time to check in on whether we're going in the right direction, check into what our heart is saying about what is happening right now. And so this concept of a spiritual depression, there really isn't a depression. Not like you think that you have lost hope or you've lost faith, just that you aren't feeling as vibrant and excited, and things are going a little bit wrong, or maybe something really tough has happened. A lot of spiritual people I know have had a death in the family, or a car breakdown, or money issues, or less clients this month, or they've had to take a step backwards in some way. And I really want to focus on the fact that this doesn't mean that your manifestations aren't working. Sometimes in the law of attraction and the law of change and the law of cause and effect, there has to be a removal to get to the place where we want to be. So often we feel this, they've also sometimes called this the 11th hour, where right before we have the miracle, we have to get into a place of surrender. We have to get into a place of faith. We have to get into a place of certainty, even when everything seems uncertain. When we don't have the answers, when we don't know what the next step is, when we don't 100% want to do what we are doing right now. But we return to our faith, and we return to the fact that we know what we want, and we know our vibrational frequency, and we know who we are at our core. Our core. And if you are having any trouble right now over these things, my first lesson is to get back to your core. Get back to recognizing who you are. Recognizing that extreme self-care is in order right here. That means maybe taking some time to evaluate your situation. It may mean taking some time to realize that you are worthy. I was working with this incredibly powerful woman today. I mean, she's a CEO. She's a CEO, and she's actually one of my idols in life. And she was here for a session today, and I was shocked when we got into the energetics of her being willing to give, but not being willing to receive. She is so good with her children. She's so good with her business, and she's so willing to give of herself. But when it came to receiving something, she has a pretty okay level of self-care. I mean, she gets treatments and coaching and massages and does take a vacation here and there. So we're not talking about someone who does nothing for themselves, but we're talking about someone who puts out all the time, isn't willing to receive as much as she gets. I mean, receive and get as much as she gives. And so that's the point here is, are you in depleted mode because you're always giving? You're always giving to others. You're always taking care of someone. You're always in the mode of, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of taking care of myself, or I'm not willing to buy the new car, or to buy, the 3 people today are working on car stuff. So your time for you is sacred. The things that you do for you are sacred. You need to know that you are in being held by your own energy field. So remember to put yourself first. When you get in an airplane, one of the first things they talk about is that if the plane goes down, before you help your child, before you help another person, you must put the air mask on for yourself. So if you're not getting enough air, if you're not getting enough care, then you must take a pause. There's a few things that are on my plate, big things on my plate, but I needed to do some rest care over this weekend, where, you know, I couldn't get to some things because I needed to rest before I could put any effort into those things. So rest is self-care. Buying the things you need, don't be afraid to put yourself first. And I'm not talking where you're going on a cruise before you pay your rent. I'm talking about buying yourself the new pair of shoes that is going to keep you comfortable standing on your feet at work, or paying for the thing that's going to make life better for you, the new computer, because it's going to make it easier to work. You really have to make sure that your needs are being cared for. That's the very basics of self-care. The second part is extreme self-care, which is, what would I do to refill? What do I need to be full enough to give to other people? What would I be full enough to operate on full battery power in life? What do I need? And whether that means taking a day off to binge on Netflix TV shows, or whether that's going out into nature and spending some time in nature, which is what I used as my self-care this weekend. I mean, I still worked on Friday, but I did it in a picnic table in front of a lake, watching a beautiful sunset. If you need to rest on Sunday afternoon, I actually took a 2-hour nap, which I can't even tell you when the last time I got to take a 2-hour nap was. And it's not like I was taking a week off. I just took an afternoon where I took a nap. And for like this much time, I felt guilty because the list is this long. But I have a long week. I have a lot on my plate this week. And if I hadn't rested before the week starts, then I wouldn't have been able to be at my high functioning performance. So what do you need to refill? What do you need to restore? And then the last piece of extreme self-care is, who do you need to dump? I mean, we're talking friends. It could be projects. It could be how much time you spend with negative family members. What do you need to do to protect yourself from the drag on your energy pull. Sometimes you just have to allow yourself to make an adjustment to how much you're giving. And that isn't really the point here tonight. Tonight's point is that you must know when to receive. The law of polarities says you must have as much come in as you put out. So you must have as much in as you have out. You cannot have a bank account that you put in this much money and then you put out double, right? You cannot pay 3 times more than you put into your bank account. Your energy field is the same way. You must put in the same amount into your energy field for rest and restoration as you do the out. And that also means that you might have to have some discernment. You are worthy to have time to take replenishment. You are worthy to take care of yourself and to allow yourself rest and restoration and youth and vitality. Because the key to youth and vitality, believe it or not, the number one key is sleep. And so sometimes people laugh at me because my the length of time I sleep is higher than everybody else's. I put myself into the time that I spend sleeping. I spend at least 8 hours a day, most days, trying to sleep. And I know that is not the American average, but when I started giving myself that much time to rest, and maybe I'm not asleep all of that time, but I'm at least laying down in quiet, not answering the phone, not watching a movie, not like doing something else. I'm spending that time in rest and restoration. I actually get the ability to feel younger than I used to in my 30s. So I'm going to be turning 47 and I feel more vibrant than I was in my 30s when I was getting 4 to 6 hours sleep every night. So when I made this major switch to arrange my life to make sure I got enough sleep, just plain old sleep, everything changed. Everything. So extreme self-care is also forcing yourself to go to bed earlier and not make appointments or say yes to things so that you actually can get enough rest. And so when we have these lulls in our field, we want to take care of ourselves just a little bit better. The next thing that I want to talk about is starvation, energetic starvation, where you feel unworthy so you don't give yourself the goodies. You don't actually give, I will buy myself the new shoes that I need for work when I've done this thing. So there's a difference between self-reward and self kind of holding back on yourself. So how often do we give our friends and our kids or our husbands or other people what we need instead of what we need? So we're starving ourselves from the care that we need. So I call this a version of spiritual starvation. And I apologize. Yeah, it is definitely winter in Florida. Our 5 days of winter, but a little bit stuffy today for me because of the weather. But as we go into this, we need to starve out our negative thoughts, not our self-care, not our receiving. So we're allowed to receive, we're allowed to take in, we're allowed to get what we want. And thank you. Thank you for the blessings. I will take them all. And what I want you to do is remember for yourself that you must starve the negative thoughts instead. Starve out. Don't allow them to live. And that means when you have something come in, you recognize, oh, that isn't how I would talk to myself. So this wonderful woman I was working with today is like the perfect example. We got to a bottom belief today, and that was that she would never talk to her own children the way she talked to herself. And the way she talked to herself was the way her parents talked to her. So she's completely flipped the switch and would teach her children, be good to yourself, say this to yourself, and this is how she talks to them, that you're always good enough, you're always worthy, you're always valuable. And yet we're still looking at what the parents would say to her about not being valuable. So flip the switch and starve the negativity, recognize where it comes from. And I want you to think about what you're telling yourself. Is it what you would tell your children? Is it what you would tell your best friend? Is it something you would tell someone you are giving a pep talk? So if that isn't true, then this isn't the way you should talk to yourself. So I want you to really get careful about what you're saying to yourself. How do you release that? You actually just start making mental note and reaffirm. They say it takes 3 affirmations for every negative that comes in. So if something comes in that says, oh, I'm not worthy of these new shoes, you would then say, I totally deserve these shoes. I've worked really hard, and it would make things better if I have these shoes. And the universe wants me to have these shoes. So I've said it 3 times in comparison to the one other time. And I reworded it a couple of different ways so that it would hit the subconscious brain, which takes over so much more of the time. And if you want to get really, really powerful in this, think about it that our consciousness is 10% of our working brain matter, and 90% is our subconscious. So go overboard, because we are overboard on the negativity. Go overboard on the positivity, and say it 10 times for that one time. So you would, I am so worthy of this, and I am a wonderful person, and I do good things, and I am so grateful and thankful that these new shoes are in my life, and I will find money for these new shoes. So you see how it works. So your homework assignment this week is to recognize that you may be in a spiritual lull, and if that is the case, use it to course correct rather than go down the negative thought process, and starve the negative thoughts and recreate a dialogue with yourself that is talking to you, your highest self, your best self, the way you would talk to a child, the way you would talk to your best friend. You really need to give yourself that absolute love, that absolute satisfaction, that true joy of lighting up your own life. The only person that can truly ignite your spiritual soul is you. No one else is going to do it. You get to ignite your own voice. You get to find your voice, not in your throat, but in your inner ear. The one that you get to hear inside your head needs to change. So it's starving out the negative thoughts and changing the dialogue inside your brain. That is the key to changing your own reality. Because the truth is, your reality lives inside of you. It's called perception. It's called your spin on things. So the homeless person that's grateful for the fact that they're still alive is putting that spin on something. The person that's jobless, that is saying, I'm so grateful and thankful I still am having the opportunity to apply for jobs, is putting the spin on things. So with all of this, the whole concept here is, what is the spin you want to spin your story? Because the truth is, we're all writing our reality into being right now with our perception. We're writing our reality into being by our words. We're writing our reality into being by the decisions we make. So we get to choose for ourselves. We get to choose for us. We get to choose our feelings. And I know there are some of you who are going to say, I can't choose to be happy about this thing. And I am going to disagree with you, having been a reformed naysayer, I am a reformed worrywart. I'm not going to say I don't have concerns and worry, but I used to make myself sick to the point I had an ulcer about concerning myself with things that were out of my control. And now I am wondering myself into, well, I wonder how this would look if I did this. I wonder how I could make my reality better each time. I wonder how I can. And by just adding the words, I wonder how, or I'm just curious how I could make this better, it shifts the switch. It is so darn crazy simple to be like, I wonder how I can make this better. It's just that simple. I wonder how, I'm just curious how to get out of this hole, how to get out of this rut, how to find the solution. I wonder what the solution is to this. I wonder what could be better tomorrow. I wonder what could change, because I know every single person who will watch this has at some point had one phone call, one email, one text message, or one, Facebook message come through, one person knocking on their door and telling you one thing that changes everything, whether it's, here's this job you're looking for and here's the application, or here's the house you've been looking for, or here's the $10,000 you needed out of nowhere. Every single person has had that one miracle somewhere in their life. And so I want you to find that miracle deep inside of your memory banks where you were in despair, the bottom of the bottom, and one phone call, one change, one something put everything back in order. So that's all you need. All you need is that one thing. So never lose hope, because your circumstances are always evolving, always changing, and always growing. So with the attraction energy, you need to be putting out all these hopes, all these possibilities, all these miracles into your energy field, into your 90% of your subconscious, by using your 10% of your conscious wisely. So you have 10% where you're constantly and consciously working in, and you can place that new hope, that new possibility. I just wonder how this could be better. I love my very favorite, and I learned this from Christina Sheldon about a year and a half ago, is guides, please exceed my expectations. And that's when things are going good and when things are going bad. Set it up for please exceed my expectations, because I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be, and I'm open to something even better than my expectations. So if I'm like, okay, well, I could make $500 by doing this, but I say, or exceed my expectations, I could have either the same thing make $20,000 instead of $500, or if they exceeded my expectations, they could give me the $500 in a way that was easier. So I don't know how the guides are going to perform or the universe is going to show up for me, but I believe the universe is going to show up for me. When I stay in the energy of, I need this, I desire this, and I love the word I require with my guides. Okay, guys, this is what I require at the bare minimum, but exceed my expectations. Exceed them. And that's where the one phone call, the one email, the one text message can shift and change everything. So don't forget that it only takes one instant, one tiny little change for everything to go differently, And it's setting up your expectations to succeed, setting up your brain matter to be looking for the solution instead of looking for the fear. That's it. So you're starving out the piece that doesn't want to come through. You don't want what you're afraid of. So you are starving it out. You are saying, no, cancel, clear, delete that. No, delete that. No, I don't accept that. No. That's not okay. I would not tell that to my children. I would not tell that to my best friend. What would I tell my best friend? I would tell my best friend, stay in wonder, stay in hope. It's going to get better. You've got this. So you're literally constantly giving yourself a pep talk. And don't think I don't have bad days, because I see some of you on here and you know I have bad days. Every single one of you that is in my circle have heard me say, well, you know, it's not going the way I want it to, but I never give up. I never give up, and I always continually look for the solution. I always continually look for the better day. I always continually expect the universe to have my back. Not just know that my universe has my back. I expect it. I command it. I require it to show up for me. So the thing that I would then tell you is, are you showing up for you? And so we go back to the beginning where I talked about the self-care and the receiving. If you don't show up for you, no one else is going to. So I want you to show up for yourself. And yes, Camille, expect it. It is expectation that the universe will do this. It is expectation, and expect is a version of faith, right? It's faith. So when you are in full on fierceness, you are in full on faith. So I love the way Elizabeth Purvis says it. I'm so grateful and thankful now that this is in my life. Now that, with a capital N, a capital O, and a capital W. You don't necessarily have to see it in your field yet, because that's the law of as above, so below, so it is. Because if you know it, expect it, feel it in your heart, are grateful for it, and you're sure, you're in faith, you're in expectation, then you're not wondering the how. You're not wondering if you're worthy. You're not wondering if it's gonna happen. You're in faith, and then all you're looking for is the way. Show me the way. And that's, in Theta Healing, we call it the witness. The show me, show me, show me. That's the witness. So show me, show me, show me the way. I expect it, I hold on to it, and it's mine. So I hope that's helped everybody tonight. I so love everybody, and I have a new series that I'm going to be doing with Facebook Lives, so you can kind of expect some really good stuff in the month of February. I'm actually going to make it a series with a very clear message for the month of February. So get on board. I have some really, really great things coming for you, including if anybody is still on the fence or still ready for this trip to England or Scotland, this would be an act of self-care. It would be, just a matter of putting your money down and making the decision that this is time for you to go. And so I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you, Tracy. I love you, Camille. Magic is on the way. Yes, yes. I love you, Tina. I love you, Jennifer. I love you, Jessica. I love you, Stacy. I love you, Tina. I love you. Wow, there's a couple Tinas. I love you, Leanne. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm sure there's more than that. Leslie. So it just, from my heart to yours, this is the time. The time is now to expect the best thing for you. Expect, require, demand from yourself that you know how to receive, that it's safe to receive, and you already do. So let's just send that to you as a download, that you know how, that it's safe, that it's easy, that it's possible, and it's already yours. As above, so below, so it is. Just take a moment, receive that, be practicing your receiving, receive gifts from the universe, receive compliments, and just be in receive right now. So live magically. That's my request for you. Go forward and live magically.